Have you ever wondered, why did this particular child come into your life? Have you ever felt that the bond between parent and child runs deeper than blood? Have you ever looked into your child's eyes, seen them react, and suddenly recognized your younger self staring back? If you have, this video is for you. And if you haven't, then it's even more worth watching till the end. Hello dear friends, and welcome back to Son.Mindfulness. Here we share gentle spiritual stories. Real-life lessons told through the lens of mindfulness. And soul reflections, especially for those of us walking the second half of life. In today's video, I'd like to invite you to take a quiet look at one of the most sacred relationships we ever experience, the one between you and your child. There's a deeper truth that often goes unnoticed. Not every child comes into our life just to be raised. Sometimes, they come to teach us what no one else can. Many parents over 50 still find themselves wondering, why do my children feel distant? Why do they push back so strongly? Why does my heart ache when I look at them, even when nothing's said? Could it be that beneath all of it lies something more spiritual? Could it be karma, soul connection, or a shared lesson unfolding in silence? In this video, I'll share a different way of seeing things, not through dogma, not through dramatic preaching, but through gentle stories that just might shift something inside you. At Son.Mindfulness, we believe this. When love is seen through the eyes of wisdom, even the heaviest karma can be transformed. And when the parent-child relationship is viewed through mindful awareness, it no longer feels like a burden. It becomes a doorway, a sacred chance for both souls to grow free. If that speaks to your heart, please support us by subscribing to Son.Mindfulness. We're grateful for your presence, your comments, and your quiet companionship, and we hope this channel becomes your peaceful corner. In a world that often moves too fast, may you always be healthy, may you always feel safe, joyful, and blessed on your journey. And now, let's take the first step into a story that's ancient, but might just change the way you see your child, starting today. Are you ready? Let's begin. Part 1. Each child is a familiar soul. Hello dear friend, today I want to share something with you. Something that may change the way you see your child, forever. Have you ever looked into your child's eyes, the same child you held in your arms since birth, and felt something strange? Something deeply familiar, as if you've known that soul long before this life? I once sat with an elderly woman in New Jersey. She was nearly 80. Her eyes had faded with time, but her memories were still clear. When she spoke about her granddaughter, she began to cry, not because the child was disrespectful, not because she caused pain, but because she whispered, "She's exactly like my mother, the way she smiles, the way she looks at me when I'm in pain. Sometimes I don't see her as my granddaughter anymore. I see my mother returning." Have you ever felt something like that? According to Paramhansa Yogananda and many Eastern philosophies, there are no accidental meetings, especially not the souls that arrive as our children. This is what they call a karmic bond, a sacred connection from past lives returning to complete its journey. Your child is not just your child. They are a soul who has walked beside you before, many times. Maybe in another life, they were your mother, holding you in their arms. Maybe they were a lover from a past lifetime whose story with you was never finished. Or maybe they once hurt you deeply, and now return to help both of you heal. That's why there are babies who haven't said a word, and yet, the moment you hold them, tears fall. And you don't even know why. It's not just biology. It's not just maternal instinct. It's something deeper, a soul memory awakening. Even science is beginning to touch this mystery. At the University of Virginia, studies on past life memories in children have found remarkable evidence. Children who recall names, faces, and places they could never have possibly known. So I invite you to imagine this. Next time your child pushes your buttons, Next time you feel like saying, "You just don't understand," pause. You might be speaking to a soul far older than you, one who chose to return in a small body, to keep learning, and perhaps to teach you the one thing you've yet to master. So don't be too quick to see your child as just a child. Try seeing them as an old friend, returning home, so both of you can heal together. And if today your child does something that stirs your heart, don't just react out of habit. Pause, breathe, and gently ask yourself, where have I met you before? In a dream or in a life long ago? Part 2. Unconditional love is the way out of karma. I remember a man once came to see me. He was in his early 60s, thin, worn down, the kind of face that tells you he hadn't slept well in years. He said, "My son left home, no message, no call, he never came back. I gave him everything, I taught him right from wrong, I sacrificed for him. Why did he turn his back on me?" I looked at him for a while. Then I asked gently, "Did you love him as a soul, or only as someone who must obey his father?" He didn't answer. He just sat there, silent, until tears fell. You see, we often love our children with all our instincts, but sometimes that love comes with attachment. We love, but try to control. We love but carry expectations. We love but refuse to let go. That's a very human kind of love. But it's not always what a soul needs. Yogananda once said, "God is the real parent, you are but the caretaker." In Buddhist language, we might say, the Dharma is the true guardian of all beings. We are simply guides for a short part of the journey. Let me offer you this image. You bring a small bird to the edge of the nest. You love it so much, you want to keep it in your hand forever. But the bird must fly. It's the law of nature. If you hold on too tightly, it will never become what it's meant to be. True love doesn't grip, it opens its hands and bows. I won't pretend this is easy, especially not for someone who has given birth from their own body. But if you can learn to love without clinging, you're freeing both yourself and your child from the karmic cycle of expectation, disappointment, and hurt. A love that asks for nothing. A love that doesn't fear losing. A love that lets go. Do you know what happened to that father? He came back to see me months later. This time with a soft smile. He said, "I stopped calling in anger. I just wrote him letters, gentle ones, no blame, just love." And then his son wrote back, just one sentence, "Dad, I know you love me, I love you too." That was the moment love turned to light. It was no longer karma, it was liberation. So if you're grieving today, if your child is different than you hoped for, try loving them the way nature loves. Like sunlight, never holding, like a river, never forcing, like an elder, stepping back so the young can grow strong. And you'll see, that kind of love never disappears, it comes back, softer, deeper, freer. Part 3. Children reflect the unhealed parts within us. Have you ever noticed something strange? Sometimes your child does something small, talks back, slacks off, makes the same mistake again and again, and somehow it triggers you deeply. You get angrier than usual, it hits harder than it should, as if they touched a string inside you, a string that had been buried, unspoken, unhealed. I once met a devoted Buddhist mother in California. She sighed and told me, "Master, my daughter is so stubborn. She reminds me of her father in every way. Every time she argues with me, I don't just get angry at her. I feel like I'm standing face to face with my ex-husband again." I asked gently, "Do you think maybe your daughter is helping you see a wound you haven't healed yet?" She was silent for a long time. Then she nodded. Tears filled her eyes. You see, our children are not just the ones we raise. They are mirrors, quietly reflecting what's hidden within us. They don't bring problems, they reflect the ones we already carry inside. There was a father who believed his son was weak, too soft, lacking courage. But when we looked deeper, he realized something painful. His own father once said the same things to him. And the voice of "you're not good enough" still lived inside him, quietly, unconsciously. His son wasn't the problem, he was the mirror. showing the inner child that had never been embraced. Yogananda once said, "Your child becomes your mirror, helping you see the parts of yourself that still need patience, love, and transformation." Every child whispers this to us in their own way. "Mom, Dad, please don't just teach me. Look within yourself too." Because often, what you try to fix in your child is the very thing left unresolved in you. I want you to pause for a moment. Can you remember the last time you lost your temper with your child? Felt out of control? Now ask yourself, was it really their fault? Or was an old wound inside me crying out? When you can see that truth, something beautiful begins to happen. You stop yelling. You start listening. Not just to your child, but to your own heart. And from there you begin to hear your child with new ears. Not from a place of control, but of compassion. Not from fear, but from presence. One soul learning to love, and another soul helping you remember how. Part 4. Family is where karma returns the fastest and deepest. Someone once asked me, "Teacher, why is it that people hurt each other more inside the family than they do out in the world? Shouldn't love make us gentler with one another?" I smiled, because I too once wondered the same. But then I studied karma more deeply, and something became very clear. It's precisely because of love, because of old debts, because of soul ties, that we return to one another as family. And family is the stage where karma plays out the loudest. Think about it. In society, you can walk away from people. If a friendship no longer serves you, you can let it go. But in a family, mother, father, children, husband, wife, you don't get to walk away so easily. You're forced to face each other, to bump into each other, to live together, whether you like it or not. It's not misfortune. It's design. The design of karma. I once met a woman in her early 40s. She was kind, moral, and soft-spoken. But ever since she was a child, her mother criticized her constantly. She told me, "I've never been good enough for her, no matter what I do." Then she asked, "Do you think I should cut ties with my mom, just to have some peace?" I looked at her gently and said, "If you run away, the lesson stays. But if you stay, with mindfulness and an open heart, you may not just heal your karma, you might heal hers too." In Buddhist teachings, there's a powerful truth. Karma doesn't punish. It simply comes back to the place where it's easiest to be seen. And the easiest place to see it is with the people we love. Because love makes us vulnerable. And vulnerability opens the heart. And when the heart is open, karma can finally be transformed. I once told a father who always scolded his son, "When your child misbehaves, don't jump to say he's being disrespectful. Pause and ask, is this a piece of my own karma returning? How will I receive it? With anger or with compassion?" You see, if we keep reacting with heat, with frustration, with judgment, we're just spinning the karmic wheel again. But if we pause, take a breath, and look at our child with understanding, we don't just teach, we liberate. That's why family is not just a shelter, it's a training ground for the soul. A living temple. A powerful place of practice. You don't need to disappear into a forest or find a mountaintop monastery to evolve. You just need to sit next to your loved ones and practice love. Practice patience. Practice seeing with clear eyes. Because right there, karma is unfolding. And right there, you have the rare chance to transform it. Part 5. Your child comes to teach you, not just to be taught. For generations, people have said, parents give birth, but heaven gives the child its nature. And if I brought this child into the world, I must raise them into a good person. On the surface, that sounds true, but if you look deeper into karma and the soul's journey, you'll realize it's only half the truth. I remember a Dharma talk I gave in Seattle. A woman raised her hand and asked me, "Teacher, my daughter is only 10 years old, but sometimes she speaks like someone far beyond her age. Once, she looked right into my eyes and said, 'Mom, you don't need to carry so much. You can rest.'" I froze. It felt like someone ancient was looking right into my soul. I smiled at her and replied, "That's because it's true. Your daughter isn't just your child by blood. She's a soul who's bringing a lesson for you." You see, we often believe that children come into the world as blank slates. But they don't. They arrive with a past, sometimes from many lifetimes. Maybe they were your teacher, maybe your best friend, maybe someone who hurt you or someone you hurt, maybe someone you loved and lost. But they've returned for another chapter. Paramhansa Yogananda once said, "Parenthood is not a one-way journey. It is a sacred exchange between two souls." The relationship between parent and child isn't a straight line. It's not just you teaching them. It's a soul-to-soul exchange, a shared journey of learning, remembering, and healing. I once met a father, a successful man in business, but with his son he was easily angered. The boy was only 6, quiet. Each time he walked away in silence, the father would sit, filled with guilt and tears. He told me, "I love him so much. Why do I keep hurting him?" I said gently, "Because he's here to remind you of something. Success is not enough. If there are wounds inside you that haven't been healed, your son, he's leading you back to yourself." We often think we are here to protect our children, to raise them, to guide them. But sometimes it's they who guide us back to who we're really meant to be. When your child is stubborn, you learn patience. When your child is sensitive, you learn to listen. When your child rebels, you learn to love without control. When your child withdraws, you learn to hear the heart, not just the words. Do you see now? Even the smallest child can open doors in your heart that you've kept closed for years. We don't get to choose which soul becomes our child, but we can choose how we welcome that soul, with mindfulness, with openness, with gratitude. Your child did not come to be molded into your image. They came to help you break free from the image you've trapped yourself in. And when you realize that, each day with your child becomes something sacred, not a burden, but a living meditation, a chance to practice loving without attachment, teaching without control, understanding without needing to be understood. And slowly you begin to see your child didn't come after you on this spiritual path. They're walking beside you. Same road, different roles, both headed toward the light. Part 6. Special Children, Great Souls Who Choose a Harder Path. Have you ever placed your hand on the forehead of a child with autism, or cerebral palsy, or a congenital condition, and quietly asked yourself, why does my child have to suffer like this? What did I do wrong? What did they do wrong? I've heard these questions many times, and I understand. Behind them is pain, grief, exhaustion, sleepless nights full of silent tears. But you know, in spiritual teachings, there's a very different view, a brighter one. Paramhansa Yogananda once said, "The souls who choose the most difficult lives are often the ones most ready to grow quickly, deeply, and bravely." I once met a mother in Texas. Her son had been paralyzed since birth. He couldn't speak. He couldn't walk. But she told me, whenever I sit beside him, his eyes seemed to say, "Don't pity me, Mom. Just stay beside me." Then she held my hand and whispered, "Master, my son can't speak, but he has taught me more than anyone else in my entire life." You see, it's not the weak souls who choose suffering. It's the strong ones, the wise ones, the courageous ones, the ones who choose what most would avoid. In Buddhism, there's a term for this, the Bodhisattva vow, souls who return to the world of suffering, not for themselves, but to help others learn love, letting go, and service. And you, if you are the parent of a special child, you've also been chosen to walk that sacred path, not as a victim, but as a companion, a light bearer, walking beside a great soul in a fragile body. These children often don't speak much, but their eyes hold entire galaxies of silence. One touch from them can soften the hardest adult heart. They may not teach with words, but they teach through presence. I once knelt beside a child with Down syndrome. He didn't know my name. He didn't know who I was. But when I placed my hand on his heart and smiled, he smiled back. And that smile, I'll never forget it. It didn't need a reason. It didn't need a past or a future. It was pure awareness, pure Buddha nature. Inside a body the world might call imperfect. Do you see? Sometimes the very children the world calls impaired are unrecognized miracles in disguise. And you, the one caring for that soul, may be living a quiet, sacred life without even realizing it. So if you are the parent of a special child, let me bow to you. Because you are not just a caregiver, you are living the Bodhisattva path right inside your home. And if you can look at your child with awakened eyes, each day will no longer feel like a battle. It becomes a silent prayer, a sacred offering, carried out minute by minute in the quiet corners of your home. Part 7. Transforming karma with your child through mindfulness, not reaction. Have you ever found yourself in this moment? Your child says something that sparks your anger. You raise your voice, almost by reflex. And then later, when the heat fades, you sit in silence and ask, what did I just say? Why did I hurt them like that? I've seen this many times, not just once, not just a few, but again and again. Gentle fathers, devoted mothers, who love their children deeply, yet in one unconscious moment of reaction, say things they later regret for years. You see, karma from the past may bring us into conflict with our children, but it's how we respond in the present that determines whether that karma continues or is finally healed. Paramhansa Yogananda said something beautiful. Karma can be changed not by regret, but by right action in the present moment. In other words, you don't have to be a perfect parent. You just have to be the kind of parent who knows how to pause. Pause before yelling. Pause before judging. Pause to recognize that the child in front of you is not the cause of your pain, but a mirror. An invitation to practice mindfulness, right here in daily life. I remember a mother at a Dharma talk in Oregon. She shared this story with tears in her eyes. My daughter is distant, she said. She never hugs me, never even calls me mom. Sometimes I want to scream, but then I remembered your teaching. She continued, so I stopped talking, I stopped lecturing, I just sat near her, cut fruit, made tea. One day her daughter looked at her and asked softly, why are you so quiet, Mom? And she replied, because I'm learning how to listen to you with my heart. That night, for the first time in 10 years, her daughter hugged her. Do you see? Even silence can be the right action. Even patience can transform karma, because karma is not a chain, it's a river, and it can change course if you know how to steer. When you react with anger, you continue the karmic pattern. But when you respond with compassion, you're rewriting the story for both of you. As a parent, you have the right to say no, but say it with understanding, not with wounding. You can teach your child what's right, but you don't need to make them afraid. You can be firm and still be loving. Try this starting today. When you feel that boiling anger rising with your child, stop, take one breath, one moment, one smile, and ask yourself, if this is karma returning to me, how will I receive it? Because in that moment, you're not just a parent, you are a soul, transforming the karma of 2 lives with one act of presence. Part 8. Parental Love, the Karmic Bridge to Liberation. You know, everything we've talked about so far, old karma, mirrored wounds, special souls, family conflict, it doesn't end there. The relationship between you and your child, it's not meant to be just a role you play forever. Not just to raise them, grow old, and move on. There's something deeper, something sacred. It is a bridge. A bridge for 2 souls, to walk from the wheel of reincarnation toward freedom. Paramhansa Yogananda once said, the purpose of karma is not bondage, it is awakening. You see, we weren't just born to pay off karmic debts. We were born to learn how to love rightly and how to let go rightly, so that one day you may look at your child not with worry, not with expectations, not with control, but with a love that is light, free, like a petal dancing in the wind. I once met an elderly father in New York. His daughter was grown, living far away with her own family. I asked him, "What do you feel about your daughter now?" He paused for a long moment, then said gently, "I see she's on her own path now, and I just want her to know I don't need her to succeed. I only need her to be at peace." I smiled, because I knew that father had transcended karma. He no longer clung to the role of father. He had become light. Yogananda also said, "When we love without attachment, we love as God loves." Can you imagine that? One day, you might look at your child not as mine, but soul to soul, seeing a being who once walked beside you, who once challenged you, who once healed you, and now is ready to be let go, gently, freely, with nothing left owed. So, dear one, the journey of raising a child is not about proving yourself right. It's not about feeling like the sacrificial one. It's about learning to love a soul without needing them to change. And when you do that, you are no longer just a parent. You are a fellow seeker, a sacred companion, a spiritual protector. You and your child have taken the first steps beyond karma, beyond the cycles of birth and death, toward true liberation. And if today you're in the thick of parenting, tired, lost, disheartened, please don't forget this. Every challenge with your child is a doorway, a chance to understand yourself more deeply, and to take one step closer to awakening. You are not just raising a child, you are raising the luminous part of your own soul. Conclusion: a journey of souls, a lesson of love. You've walked with me through this entire journey. Not everyone stays until the end, but if you're still here, I believe something in your heart has just been touched. We've traveled through 8 gentle lessons about karma, about the sacred bond between parent and child, about souls who've known each other long before this lifetime, about how family conflicts are never random, about love that frees, not binds, about special children with silent wisdom, about transforming karma through mindfulness, and lastly, about how love becomes a bridge, one that carries 2 souls toward liberation. Do you feel now that love isn't just about giving, but also about knowing when and how to let go? Have you ever felt that each child is a karmic letter written just for you? They didn't come to hurt you. They came to remind you, learn to love with awareness. I know, not every day is easy. Some days you'll feel tired, some days you'll feel hurt, some days you may doubt yourself. But if your heart still listens, if you still dare to slow down, if you remember the soul in front of you as someone you once loved, then you're already halfway there. Start small. One time, hold your anger. One time, look at your child without judgment. One time, say I'm sorry. One time, touch their shoulder and smile. Why not try? Who knows, that one quiet moment might change the course of karma entirely. Can you recall which lesson touched your heart the most? Have you ever looked at your child and realized they are your silent teacher? I'd truly love to know. What are you feeling after this journey? Which part made you pause and reflect? Please share a few words in the comments. Not just for me, but for those walking a similar path. Your insight may comfort someone who truly needs it. And if you found value in today's sharing, please subscribe to Son.Mindfulness. Let's keep walking this journey together. Every week I'll bring you more stories like this, stories about consciousness, about love, about awakening, right in the middle of everyday life. You can also share this video with someone close to you. Maybe someone is waiting to hear a gentle voice today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping your heart open to something this deep. I wish you health. I wish you peace. I wish you happiness. And I wish you endless grace on your spiritual path. I bow with gratitude, and I hope to see you again in our next quiet conversation. Thank you.